Today on Writing Done Right, we are going to talk about putting together your manuscript when you want to talk to an agent or a publisher or somebody just to review your manuscript to see how it looks. Thanks for checking out this video by Writing Done Right. I am Thomas Morosky, an author and a technology consultant, and on this channel we like teaching you the nuts and bolts and the technical how-tos on writing, from self-publishing to working with publishers and all the other things inside of the writing and authoring industry. If you like this type of content, if you've not already subscribed to the channel, please do that now. Leave us a like and a comment down below. And today we want to talk 5 formatting tips when you're talking about writing your manuscript to get reviews, get notes, maybe pass it to your friends to make sure you're not doing something really dumb, or talking to an agent, taking a copy to a writer's conference to do either a review or a critique group. All of these types of things would consider this. We're not talking about formatting a book to be published in the event that you're going to be the one formatting it. What the objective here is to have your document formatted in such a way that people can read it and understand it. There's a flow in an organization that makes sense. We're not trying to be cute. We're not trying to show our technical skill. We're not trying to put things together in certain formatted ways that we might think. In fact, I remember one of the writing groups that I used to be at, for whatever reason, these people had it in their minds that I had to have a tab indent. You know, the first sentence had to be tab indented, which most of them were retirement age, roughly, and way back when they were doing their mainstream careers, that was standard because all of the pages were single space. It's the same exact thing that the same group of people would tell you to put 2 spaces after a period. In modern technology, there's usually an extra gap between paragraphs, making it not always necessary to indent that first paragraph, that first a sentence in the paragraph. Some people still do it, some people don't. Usually there's just a separate space. It just depends on how your book is formatted. Additionally, we no longer put 2 spaces after a period. The computer will fill in the spaces accordingly. So, and oftentimes I'd always have to go in and tell them, it doesn't matter that there's indentations. It doesn't matter. What matters is that your document is properly formatted. So we are going to talk about 5 basic formatting tips to help you format your document if you're going to be talking to an agent or a publisher or a critique group or just a friend about your writing project. And so another fun fact in this one, just another fun story before we actually get into our tips. I actually did have somebody send me a manuscript in a plain text notepad file. Oh, that's the worst. Don't ever do that to somebody. Save that for the people that you would like to punish in for some sin in their past. I mean, that is just as blasphemous as anything you can do. Oh, I still have nightmares about that book. Oh, no, can't work with that, my friend. You got to go back and fix it. So how do you actually manage this? I have 5 tips here. The first is you want to use a document format. Don't use .txt. Don't use an RTF, which is a rich text format. These are old computer models. The .text is excellent for simple stuff on computers. There's 0 formatting. It's just characters. There are many wonderful uses for these, and I use them all the time, just not in writing. Okay, at least not in writing to present a document. The 2 formats you want to use are the DocX, which is Microsoft. This is a proprietary format, and they've kind of weaseled the way in that most people think that this is the standard format. Actually, technically, it's not. Technically, the standard format is the ODT, the Open Document Type. This is similar to the DocX. It is an open file format, meaning that it is free, it is open source, it is not locked down by a company. This is a format that everybody that would take a DocX would take an ODT as well, except maybe your basic users that don't understand the nuances and the differences of files. Now, the ODT files are generally larger files than the DocX. That's why Microsoft created the DocX files. They are much more streamlined, easier to work with, and more portable for that reason. The reason the ODTs are bigger is they carry with them a lot more formatting and metadata to control a lot more functions within it, which means your DocX files are typically more limited. But they're not limited in any way in the types of formats we're talking about. So if you're talking about working with an agent or a publisher or a critique group, you want to do either a docx or the ODT, and it doesn't matter which one of those two you want to use. I personally use the ODT standard, but when I'm sending things out to people, I always convert it to a docx before sending them out. And I do this just because there were some versions in the past, modern versions don't do this, but some versions of Microsoft Office in the past would give you some security warning if you tried to open an ODT document, because they were really trying to mainstream that docx file format. That's mostly gone now. But just for the simplicity of not pushing the open source agenda on people, just the other day, in fact, I submitted an article for a newsletter for an upcoming conference I'm teaching at, and you know, I converted the newsletter clip into a docx before sending it on because it's just easier that way. So number one is use a standard document format. Number two is, we're talking inside this manuscript being used, do not use cute fonts. You're not doing, this is not the time for Comic Sans, this is not time for the really cool font you found on the internet one day. Don't use cute fonts. You want to stick with a standard font, something that's like a Times Roman or a Georgia or a Tahoma, an Arial, something in a basic sans or a basic serif script font. Just use something very, very basic. Our objective here of this document is not to impress. Our objective of our document is clarity and simplicity and understanding how to form it out. Now, when I'm interfacing and things with, since I use primarily Linux, the fonts don't necessarily overlap. What's on Linux may or may not be on Windows, so I've installed Windows fonts on my computer, and when I am sending documents out to other people, out to reviewers or whoever else, I always convert those fonts into standard Microsoft fonts, so I have them on the computer. Basically, if in doubt, whatever is the default font on your word processor application, use that. Modern Windows, I think they switched to Optos, which I haven't used Microsoft in so long, I have no idea what that font looks like. Honest truth here. They used Calibri for a long time, and they used Times New Roman before that. On Linux, I think many of the Linux go to like an open serif or an open sans type format. I'll just stick with whatever is the basic default in there for the purpose of writing out the document. But you don't want to be cute. This is not the time to be funny. This is the time to make little notes in there. Now, number three is you want to use basic heading structure in your document. You don't want to have a document where you're using you're highlighting parts that are in, subsetting them in bold to indicate this is a paragraph or a chapter. The inline styles will break if you import them to other locations. You have to be very cautious about using inline styles like bold, and that's not what they are for. Okay, what you need to be doing inside your document is your document title, you need to have use the title attribute, which is whether you're using Microsoft Office, LibreOffice, OnlyOffice, all of these, they have a title attribute. Use the title attribute for the title of the document. Each one of your chapter breaks should be an H1 tag, header 1. Each one of the sections inside of your chapter should be an H2, and a subsection should be an H3, and then you go down through there. We're not trying to be cute with formatting things with inline bolds, inline italics. Those things are going to get lost in translation as you migrate to different documents if you need to copy and paste something in, whereas header tags will be retained in most instances. And so we have to be aware of the various types of structures inside of your document. And then if possible, you might think about dividing your whole document into sections, one section per chapter. That's less required, however, so I wouldn't worry about that quite so much. And number 4 on the same line is proper text structure. Okay, this is the one where some people get into trouble where, okay, if your default on your word processor, you hit the enter key and there's no extra space, and you really want to have that extra space in the paragraph, so you hit the enter key twice. You're basically having 2 enter tags inside of the system. You don't want that. That's actually bad. And so that's going to cause a ton of extra extra work for your formatters, whoever you're doing it. It's going to be a distraction because if you send it to me in that and I have defaults set up a little bit differently, then what's going to happen is I'm going to open the document and it's going to look like an abominable mess. On the same front, you don't want to hit that space bar multiple times. If you do want to have that tab in the beginning of your paragraph, don't hit that space character 5 times. Hit the tab character. That is its own separate character. Tab equals not 5 spaces. Now, there's a funny debate in the programming world about that, but we'll leave that one for the programmers to decide on. Use simple tags, hit enter only once, hit space, hit the tab key if you want to hit the tab key. That's the basic types of stuff that you want to do. You want to use the formatting tools built in. You do not want to use the various spaces and enters and other things to make it kind of quote unquote look like what you want it to look like. That generally is not a good way to go. And then number 5 on this line, this is just kind of an overarching summary principle. Do not attempt to format your manuscript to make it look like a book, particularly if you're going and talking to an agent. If you're going to a writer's conference and you're taking a copy of your manuscript with you and you want to present this, do not try to make that thing look like a book. Don't try and show your skill at making a book out of a Microsoft Office document. Yes, it is true. I use LibreOffice to do all of my interior design, but interior design is a completely different beast than is writing a document for review, critique, or analysis. And so you don't want to try and format this into a book. That is a very specific step. Also, if you attempt to, quote, format it into a book and it's premature, you're going to produce more work for somebody down the road. It is way better if you write your document with these basic things in mind, because it's way easier to format later if you're not doing a bunch of little cute things, odd fonts, inline styles, and stuff like that. And so those are my 5 tips on formatting a basic document if you're going to be presenting it to a critique group, an agent, a publisher, or some other place for basic review. So hopefully this video helped you out. Leave us a like and a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. And I hope that this video has helped you to get your writing done